Hi. I recently got a request from a 14-year-old for a video to help with sleeping using EFT to actually help with sleeping. And so I'm sure that whenever I get requests for videos that there's a theme. You're not alone with that. There are a lot of people that have difficulty sleeping. In this particular case, it's a fear of sleeping in your room alone. So with EFT, and hopefully there's some young people that are watching this today, you are the landlord, meaning you are in charge. You're the gatekeeper of your thoughts. And when you remember that you're the gatekeeper of what you think between your two ears, that helps you to feel a little more powerful when those scary thoughts start coming in. I'm not okay. I'm not safe. Perhaps you're worried about something at school and you've just given that thought free rent. Basically, you're serving it breakfast in bed, you're taking care of that thought, and it's just living between your two ears, and it is driving you crazy, so much so that you can't sleep at night. Usually there's three different categories that seem to come into our minds, particularly when it gets dark, and that's fear, doubt, self-doubt, or worry. So this particular video is going to address specifically sleeping. Now with EFT, there's two things that are really important that you remember. You have to get really, really specific about what is it that's really going on behind your fear. Basically, behind fear, it's subjective, meaning it has to do with what you're afraid of. So as quickly as possible, just ask yourself, what specifically am I afraid of? Am I afraid of the dark because I can't see and I'm afraid that someone might jump out? Get very specific and make your statement first and foremost. I am afraid of this. Be as specific as possible. The second part of EFT that we know to be successful is consistency. You don't just tap once on something. You have to put it into what's called a SUDS bucket, which means it's just a unit or a way to measure how intense is this emotion for you. Is it a 10 or is it a 0? A 10 is so intense that you can't think about anything else and your body gets involved. Maybe your heart starts to race, your eyes are opening, you're looking around, you're creating this huge drama between your two ears. You forget that God has given you the ability to be able to cast out negative thinking simply by being very specific and shining the light of your presence on that. What am I really afraid of? What's really going on here? Once you've gotten very specific, I am afraid of the dark. I'm afraid someone's going to jump out at me. I'm using that as an example. Then be very consistent with it. You might do one round of tapping, and then you check in on a scale from 1 to 10. Am I still 10, me being the highest form of fear? Am I still rocking a 10 fear? Or am I more like a 5, which is 50-50. 50% of me is afraid. 10 could equal 100%. 100% of me is scared right now. Every time after you tap and you do a full round of tapping, pause and ask yourself, where do I feel this in my body? And how intense is it? Give it a number. And then that's one container. As much as you can put it in a container, the more powerful you become over the thought. So it's remembering, okay, I'm afraid of someone jumping out at me at night. I'm afraid of the dark because at night when it's dark, I start to imagine bad things. And that scares me. So it's not so much the darkness, but it's the experience of imagining bad things in your mind. It could be what someone said, what someone might say. It's a huge stage for drama. And the brain will keep creating this drama until you remember something different. As soon as you remember something different, I'm not the drama. I'm not my struggle. As soon as you remember that, you become the person that's in charge of that fear. You no longer let fear be the boss of you. You become the boss of fear. Now remember this, God is with you. You are not alone. So invite that strength inside of you that God has given you, the Spirit of God within you, and say, God, please help me with this to think a positive thought. And the more fear I feel, the more confident I become. You link your state of insecurity with something positive you want. In neurolinguistic programming, you can use this with EFT. The more fearful I am, the more confident I become that I can return to peace. God is with me. So you have your fear statement and you have what you want to experience. Your fear statement and you have what you want to experience. Now, what science tells us about how our brains work, how God wired our brains, guess what? The positive thought wins in the end. No surprises there. God is a good God. So when you do that enough and say, I'm afraid, the more fear I feel, the more confident I become. The more fear I feel, the more confident I become. It's like that game Whack-A-Mole. You keep whacking it down with that positive thought, and it loses its stickability in the brain. And you start replacing that fear with something positive. Now, to really anchor it, we go back to the EFT, and we take that fear, I'm afraid of the dark, start thinking these negative thoughts, or someone's going to jump out at me. Remember, it's important to be very, very specific. And then you start your tapping, even though, this is the setup statement, even though I'm afraid of the dark. And you can follow me if you're watching this video and just plug in what your fear is when the lights go out and when you go to sleep. Many times what I've experienced after doing this for over 15 years is that it's not so much the lights going out, it's what happens to your emotions that cause your body to trigger anxiety. So it's really if you're afraid of the experience that's happening when the lights go out. So get very specific. Even though I'm afraid that when the lights go out, I'm going to get really, really anxious, and then I won't be able to sleep. And I feel it in my chest. I can't breathe. If I were to guess what color this would be, maybe it's a red. Guess what the color is, because as many containers as you can create for it, the more contained and quarantined it will get. Maybe it's green, maybe it's red, maybe it's black. Maybe what shape might it be? If you feel heaviness in your chest, it's a box. Okay. Is it thick? Is it like vapor? What would it look like? So you get very, very specific. The more you can create a container, the less power it will have over you, because you're in charge. God has given you that ability to not let your thoughts be in charge of you. So then you say, well, this green or dark green, black, thick goo in my chest is scaring me, because that's how I feel when I get anxious. I'm willing to love and accept myself anyway. I'm willing to explore the possibility that I can experience confidence and peace while I sleep. Even though I don't feel it now, I'm willing to explore that I don't have to stay here. Even though I'm familiar with this feeling, the more fearful I become, the more confident I am. The more scared I am of the dark, the more peaceful I feel. And even though I'm scared to go to sleep tonight, because then I might be anxious again, I'm willing to breathe in the strength and the power of the Holy Spirit. I'm willing to exhale the fear, and I choose to trust that God is with me. I'm not alone. And then as you're tapping on your points, just say the reminder phrase, fear, fear, fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid of going to sleep at night. I'm afraid of the dark. I'm afraid of falling asleep. I'm afraid of the anxiety I feel. Afraid. Don't I have to stay here? What do I get from staying here? There's got to be an upside to being afraid, because I'm a really smart person, and I wouldn't stay in one specific spot unless there was something I was getting from this. What could that be of me being afraid? Maybe if I stay awake, then I won't let that negative thought have its way with me. So I have to keep vigil. Do I have to stay there? I wonder if I could still be strong and fall asleep. I give my body permission, by God's grace, to choose peace and calm, whether it's light or whether it's dark. I'm willing to surprise myself, surprise me, God, that I feel peace even when it's dark. because you promised to be with me, whether it's dark or whether it's light. So I choose to give my body permission. It's okay, body. You don't have to be afraid. God is with you. All things are possible for you. You can do this. You're not alone. The more fearful I am, the more confident I become. The more fearful I am, the more confident I become. God is with me. I am not alone. Now, if you notice, I slowed it down. Sometimes there's a theory out there that when you slow the EFT down in terms of the phrase, it goes a little bit deeper in calming the monkey mind or the amygdala. That's where all the emotions happen. So you're reminding your body that you're safe, that God is with you, you are not alone. So hopefully this video has been helpful. Watch it again. Get very specific again. 1, what am I really afraid of? What's really going on here? Am I afraid of the feeling of fear? Or am I afraid of the dark? Get as specific as possible. Keep tapping. Let's say after you tapped one round, you check in on a scale from 1 to 10. How is that mucky feeling around my chest and my heart racing feeling to me? That's your anxiety. That's where your body stores it. So you're reminding your body that you can be at peace. Keep going back. This remaining fear, remaining fear, remaining fear. After you've done your initial tapping, you can be very simple with it. This is a video that's going a little bit deeper, but you can keep it very simple. Fear, fear, afraid of the dark, afraid of the dark, I'm afraid of the dark. Don't I have to stay here? What do I get from this? Maybe there's another way. Maybe I can choose to be confident. Maybe when it's dark, I could be peaceful. When it's dark at night, the more fearful I am, the more confident and peaceful I become. The more fearful I am, the more confident and peaceful I become. So remember, do not let fear be the boss of you. You are the boss of fear. Thank you for listening in, and I pray that this is helpful for you. Feel free to reach out with any other suggestions. I will be answering your other question in another video. Enjoy your gift of life. God bless you. Bye.